Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to Tuesday's recap. I'll tell you, it feels a little bit like Thursday, but I feel like I've been saying that every week as these days are long, and that's why you have to have some distractions. That's why you have to not be sitting in front of your computer all day long. I go, over my process and my routine because I get in here at 6:30 in the morning to write my note, to then do the videos at 7:30, to be done at 8:15, to then put some charts up on StockTwits, and then it's like 10 to 9, I send out a few more pieces of content, and I have to trade. By 11:30, most people out there would be a piece of luggage. So from then, I typically go take a spin class. I go do what I got to do as far as exercising so I could refresh and then come back a little bit later in the day. But I will say for everyone out there, there's really not that much of a reason to be sitting at your desk between 11:45 and 1:45. The one time you will catch something during the week, the other 4 days you probably wouldn't, and that keeps your mental stability. So with that said, that was just my little one to grow on. Remember when you were a little kid, you'd see one to grow on, which was a fun fact to keep your sanity? Well, that's one thing that helps keep mine and hopefully may keep yours. So anyway, today you had another fine line. We talked about these fine lines, and what we were looking at today is whether or not some of the sectors that have been stronger, would they fill their gaps? And if they got in their gaps, could you make money short and then figure out a spot to cover and maybe flip long or just wait for patterns to build? So for me, I came in short the spiders, and I was obviously long a BABA call spread, and I was trading on the VTF. We'll get to that. But anyway, you look at the sectors here, and you'll see that with the spiders, you had a small little push in the gap. If you follow the charts that we put up there, 200.77 was the level, and we hit as low as 200-.06, about 70 cents below the gap. You had a little bit more of room at 201.30 if that's where you decided to press some shorts. If you were short from yesterday's doji, gave you a little bit more meat on the bone to make money short, but there still wasn't a heck of a lot there. I know I came in short the spiders, and I shorted a little bit more when we broke below 201.30, and I didn't really add at 200.77. I covered 200.58, and guys on Twitter were already giving me slack, like, what's the matter with you? You take your trades too early. Why wouldn't you wait till at least the 8-day, okay, or at least down to this gap moving forward? And I said, you know what? I was happy enough to catch $1 off of this little RDR from 201.82, and I'd rather wait, let it go sideways, and then figure out my next step. Figure out, can we flag here higher to then make a new move to new highs versus trying to stay short, considering that short has not been the way to be since this little V bottom here and reclaiming the 200-day. So I covered, and we'll see what's next. If you look at the same thing with the sectors, Qs real quickly traded below the prior pivot that Friday and held, letting the 8-day catch up. IWM, not as much of a recovery, but still not falling apart. There are guys out there saying that these sectors will be falling apart, and they haven't done so. So the stronger sectors are still hanging out, flagging higher, not giving you much of a retracement. So if you're trying to be short, either you have to be very patient and have a thesis, or you've got to be surgical, which is what we tried to do today. The weaker sectors, though, if you got short yesterday when oil broke 80, gave you a little bit more of a short move. You look at XLE, this group has been in a downtrend, pretty much since the start of the year. Okay, lots of trends have been broken here. You had an upper trend here, you had major support there, you had the 200-day broken here, and then finally you had a small red dog reversal for a long entry, which we played here, way back on October 15th. Then yesterday you finally had your extreme red dog reversal, red dog reversal, that's a double reversal. Anyway, not quite an outside day, and then you had a little bit of follow through. So at this point, You have a mid-level channel here, which is a bit noisy. This definitely looks a little bit more broken than constructive. OAH is also, you take a look there, much more, not even as strong as that. This too gave you not much of a bounce, got contained by the 21-day moving averages below all of this noise. And this was your little signal to either get out if you were playing it from here, from the long side, or maybe even a short signal, and this actually broke below the pivot. So this is probably one of the weaker sectors. As far as stocks, I came in today with a call spread. We might as well talk about BABA because BABA was where my focus was. And I was a little upset. Last night, everyone's tweeting at me saying, oh my God, BABA's at 105. What's going on here? Has earnings been released? And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's China. They do things a little weird there. Well, that's not fair to say, but maybe they release things a little early, but then people are like, oh, well, Kramer came out and said 290 something, as a price target, and they scratched the surface. I was like, okay, I have a call spread, let them talk, but it's not my style. It's not my style to be pushing or being so excited about a stock that just went from 88-92 to 100 and change, especially into an event. So kept my quiet, or kept quiet, and then by the time 9:30 rolled around, the stock went from 105 down to 100. I think on CNBC he was asked, what do you think now? He started complaining about the margins. Someone asked him about his price target. Didn't even back that up, and it was almost like there was a clone of him that gave that whole segment last night. And for us as traders, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay with my call spread. No big deal. My risk is premium paid, and we'll see if we could trade the stock. And around 9:29, I'm talking on the virtual trade phone. Like, you think BABA could go green, fill its gap, be strong? That was one of my focuses for the start. And not only did it go green and fill the gap, it traded above the prior high and gave you a really nice trade, besides having a call spread. And you didn't even need to take any event risk. But if you bought last night into the friggin' brouhaha and got nervous when it opened up red, entries and exits matter. So whatever, let's move forward. BABA gave you an unbelievable trade today if you weren't emotional, and I got to hand it to the virtual trade floor because we were all over this thing. Not only did it hold and go green, it traded above a prior high here of 102.80, gave you a second half move in the afternoon and closed really strong. Started talking about BABA to head, or BABA to butt, whatever you want to say, right around here. Was talking about it in here while people were saying the stock's going to 60. They were talking about the blah, blah, blah top. Everyone was bashing. I'm like, why don't you talk a little bit more constructive about a stock that was one of the biggest new issues of the year, where a lot of money was coming behind it, lots of opportunities. Stop bashing it and come up with a damn plan. And this was a nice little plan, and it's been following the 8-day, which it touched today, ever since. You can go to even the 5-minute chart, and you can see a lot of different setups here along the day. One being right here, when we talk about when something goes positive real quick, which this did, cleared resistance, gave you a nice little bull flag here. I remember trading this, and then left for lunch. At lunchtime, I was like, you know what? Let me take a look here. I was taking my little spin class, and I saw it hovering below this 105 area. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy a little bit besides my call spread just in case. And then, here you are with your little follow through into the close. Boom. Nice action. Can't really complain about that whatsoever, except if you bought it wrong and listened to the wrong people. Apple, I did position a little bit back. I don't think this is, it could be. I was hoping we'd go a little bit further, but all in all, it did hold above the 8-day, flagged, came back above it. I got in today because I got out a little bit earlier. Remember this little breakout above the prior pivot? I think that this story will take it to about 115 year end. So got to figure out a way in without being perfect. And today was a small way in perhaps. And then today, everyone always bashes me about not being short, about not looking at high beta names that technically could wind up being good shorts versus long. So I was like, you know what? Maybe today Twitter and Facebook will break key support. So I got short Twitter a little early, and it didn't work. I lost a little money, and I moved on. And unfortunately, my usual self would be a buyer, which I wasn't. But all in all, at this point, I think there's still time here. It's not the biggest deal. Traded below this prior pivot, had a green day, and still has a lot to prove before allocating some real money there. But all in all, held support. Facebook did a little bit more work. I talked about the trend line, which usually I do buy versus try and short, and I didn't touch it today because I wanted to give it some time. But all in all, this trend line from this big gap up way back when from the cup and handle pattern is still holding. Okay, and then today you had a green bar engulf the prior weakness. So it did a little bit of repair work. That's what we talked about, repair work. Held above the gap. If you took the red dog reversal here, congrats. I don't think many people were looking at that. And now at some point, if it were to trade into this gap, a lot of money is trapped in this stock and supporting it. I think that it'll look a little bit better. And then as far as what traders do on days of red, they look at prior strong reports that are negative to give you a little bit of a lift. So Sperling right away was, I'm going to look at Baidu. So let's see what Baidu did today. Baidu opened lower, okay, after flagging up near highs, and went green quick and looks really good. Nice little blue, blue flag. What the hell is a blue flag? Bull flag above the 8-day, closing strong. Looks very, looks good. Above this whole big consolidation, and more constructive than not. I'm not sure what else looks sort of like that. What's BITA? Yeah, looks fair. Hugging the 8-day. Let's see, what does YY look like? All right, YY looks pretty good too. So these Chinese names are pretty strong. These Chinese names are worth buying on the dip and seeing if you could, even buy on some strength. And here's your next level there. What is LAGU? Wow. That was a nice move. Sperling was buying it in here. If you really want to be involved in a lot of names, look at his virtual trading floor. He tends to be a lot more spread out than me. I'm a little bit more selective, and this was a really nice move. Congrats if you stayed in that one. I got to give it to RD. Look at this VIPS. VIPS did a 10-for-1 split. He's been talking about this thing ever since it cleared here, which gives you a little bit of a nice community approach. Descending channel. Talking about it here, talking about it when it cleared there. It went 10-for-1 and it's at highs, and there you go. You don't need that many vehicles to make your month. You don't need that many great stocks to have risk working for you. You just need a few that make you comfortable, a few that are that actually help your P&L versus being all spread out. And there's been a few of them. For me, I remember a week and a half ago, I was only in Apple and I was only in BABA, and people are like, why aren't you in 8, 9 positions? I'm like, you know what? Because I don't really have that much faith in all of these things. I think these will work, and they did work. And now we'll see, if there's more meat on the bone, so to speak. The USOs, what did you do today? You broke lower, and if you took a short when it broke below this pivot here of 30.15, I put the chart up saying there was some support around 29.05. It went a little bit lower, and it closed a little bit off it. Can it come back up and then go lower? Yes. Is it oversold here? So pressing into this support here, would I recommend it? No. What did the metals do today? Metals still broken. They couldn't even want to fill the gap there. I thought perhaps today with the bearish type of thesis, after breaking here and giving a retest of there and breaking this, perhaps it could trade into the gap and push the envelope. Wasn't even able to do that. So at this point, still very, very bearish looking versus even a cute long. We talk about cute shorts. Well, the metals haven't given you much of a cute long. Gave you one little cute long here, but if you overstayed your welcome, remember this, we talked about clearing 116, 117. Well, if you missed your exit here when it broke the 8 and 21 day, you were caught in another mess. And the weekly chart looks absolutely gross. From a macro standpoint, this macro trend, we pointed it out when it broke right there, and then when it broke key support right around 150, and since then, it's been just working its way lower. So with all that said, we have the midterm elections today. A lot of people are a little disenchanted because, Washington, to me, is a bit dysfunctional, and people just think whoever it is, they're in it for themselves. Go watch The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, and you'll see what um, the funny, I guess, genre of what goes on over there is, and I think there's a little truth to that. And we'll see. If the GOP wins, we probably gap up. If the GOP loses, which I think is priced in, we probably gap down. You know, all in all, I think that market's holding in pretty well. We have our go-to names. We have our stronger stocks. We have stocks that give us trades, and we can keep making moves until there's a little bit more continuity while we work off an overbought reading that went plus 72. That's probably about plus 50 now. Banks were a little out of play today. Bios still hanging around, and let's just keep moving our feet, making some money, and not having too many opinions, because those can get you in trouble. Scott Redler, have a good night. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.